All right, it's time for a crypto video. I'm sure you're excited. I know I am. I have a lot of material here. Let me just first show you the plan. We're going to talk about Binance. We're going to talk about how locking up tokens, I think, is a bigger game than transactions and gambling. We're going to talk about, and I even think locking up is bigger than payments. We're going to talk about payments. I see it as XRP against Stellar, against JP Morgan coin, against Facebook, against DAI. There's others, but we'll just go into those a little bit. Speaking of gaming, we're going to talk about that a little. Bitcoin, of course, talk about. My dream portfolio, we will talk about. The bottom is in, we will talk about. I got a few other things people asked about. So let's get it on, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I did want to mention I was on another show, Lior Gantz, on this show here.
Just to explain, because I don't think everyone understands what the
sound's not coming through. Can you hear it? I can't hear it.
There will only
well, anyways, this is the name of it. If you want to find this, you could search for this. I could put the link in the thing. It's let me see his channel, a wealth research group. Let's see. This is his channel. Let's see if I'm listed.
Welcome to the Titans of Industry.
Not 100% sure how to find me on his page. Maybe if you click on videos. Well, anyways, listen. If you can't find it, send me a message, or I'll put the. But I was on this show, 50-minute show. If you're interested in more of me, you can find it there. Okay, now let's get it on. Okay, we do not need my Facebook. All right. So first of all, Binance. This token has been outperforming Bitcoin, almost outperforming all cryptos. Has been booming. Why? Well, they created a token that has so many use cases. You can just see here, so many use cases and adoption going on. With the Binance coin, you know, great leader in CZ, incredible growth, the biggest exchange out there. Now, another thing they do too is charity. Do I have this link here? No, let me another thing they're doing, which I think is really another innovative. I mean, they're so innovative all the time. But giving away charity using Binance token, and it's really helping. It's cutting down on fraud, but it's also a good way to distribute the coin. Just another use case they keep. But their big deal for them is the decentralized exchange that is launching soon. And the two questions for that is, you know, if the growth of this token is going to continue, this decentralized exchange, I think, needs to work. If it doesn't, they're okay, but the growth rate is assuming that we have, and by decentralized exchange, really what it is a non-custodial exchange, okay? I don't know what page I should put on here for you here, but anyways, another use case too, when it launches, they'll then be staking. You'll be able to stake your token on Binance. Another use case for the token. And also, you know, the token is used as a discount on the trading, and the profits from the Binance company, the largest exchange in the world, 25% of the profits goes to burning tokens until the number of tokens is reduced to a certain amount. So, you know, if you look at Coinbase, which when you compare, I mean, Binance is so much bigger. Let me pull this up. Binance is so much bigger than Coinbase. And Coinbase's equity is valued at $8 billion. So, sorry, I pulled this up because I want to pull up, what are we looking at? Exchanges, adjusted volume. Okay. Now, let's see here. I guess adjusted volume 24. So Coinbase is probably I can't even find the darn thing. Coinbase Pro number 34 in size. And this is an 8 billion market cap. Now you might say, well, it's not equity. Binance is just a token. Yeah, but I'm not 100% convinced yet that tokens are not a competitive value proposition to equity. We'll see what happens, but a percentage of the profits as well as a whole lot of other use cases. Plus, by having this token, most of the people who work in Binance, there's hundreds of people working there now, all around the world, a real decentralized company. I think there's no corporate office, and they're being paid mostly in the token. It's possible that a well-managed token actually gets a higher valuation than equity. We'll see how that plays out, but I wouldn't immediately just say, it's not really equity, so it has no value. We'll see about that. Couple of the risks on Binance. Some of the tokens that I recently thought, maybe these are good. You know, Binance doesn't have every token. They don't have Maker, which I like. They don't have DAI. They don't have, I mentioned before, NMR. I'm not buying NMR because I can't understand it, but it looks like it might be good if for someone who can understand it. It's not on Binance. Livepeer looked interesting to me as well. Again, I'm just not going too far down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to bother buying it. But still, I looked. It's not on Binance. So I don't know. Maybe they're not going to carry the right tokens. You know, maybe they get the technology, but a lot of stuff what people want to buy is elsewhere. Granted, they follow what's popular, so I think they'll get it if they're not a first adopter. But another thing I do see on the other side of the coin, they are getting all the crazy gambling, gaming. They're doing these ICO launches on Binance, which is probably good for the token, but what are these? I don't know that they're launching the greatest projects. Some of them might be scammy. They're working with Tron. This Tron, Justin Sun, I'll talk about that a little later. It's just shady character. So I don't like that, but at the same time, it might just be good business. You know, he's going with the traffic and the excitement and the money is, even if it isn't the most wholesome of projects. Not to the point of being illegal either. I'd rather, I don't know. To me, that's a little bit of a red flag. Also, one thing to worry about is maybe something else comes along. You know, this Uniswap. I'm going to be talking about locking up. Where is this link? I don't know. I guess I'll just find it here. Ethereum locked up. So look at Uniswap. Let's take out. Meanwhile, Augur's been having problems. I'm not a believer, or at least I'm not seeing it doing great yet, but just to look at Uniswap, look at this growth. You know, this is just since November. Amount of Ether locked up on Uniswap. Anyways, this Uniswap is an exchange, and I can't trying to explain it. I'm going to try, and I'm going to get it wrong, but I have and I'm also making a guess at how something works. So they take you put in a token pair into Uniswap. So you'd say, okay, I'm going to put in Ethereum to trading with OMG, and those two, there's a certain ratio of how many Ether to how many OMG, and it stays at that ratio or something. And then what happens? So then you get a percentage of all the transactions. Uniswap is just a smart contract. So there are any of the fees goes to the trader. Like there's no but the way I think people are really making money at this, because I was thinking, I could lock up a couple tokens, but if one token moves up a lot more than the other, you then could lose money. So what people are doing, I think, is they block up 2 tokens, and if the price starts changing, they buy the tokens from other exchanges at a discount and load them into Uniswap. So Uniswap, if that's how it's working, you could look at Uniswap as this algorithm that sucks up supply from other exchanges whenever there's price moves. We'll see how it works. But anyways, there's a chance that some sort of trading mechanism that doesn't even include any centralized office at this growth rate after a couple years, Uniswap could be something to contend with. So that would be a risk too, but that's also very long term. So I like Binance. When we get to my dream portfolio, I say 5% at this point. The other risk for Binance is regulation. Is it an equity? You're depending on the founder. One of the reasons I like it is that the CEO, CZ, he's great. So I am putting money because I think that, you know, the ownership there is going to work to increase value. That makes it sort of an equity. So then the U.S. maybe comes after it, and who knows what goes on. Oh, but another good news on Binance, they're also working. They have an agreement to set up a fiat to exchange in Singapore, which I think is a pretty big deal. So Binance, I don't think they're going away. Even if the U.S. comes after them, they got a deal in Singapore. That's pretty solid first world lockup. So that's my Binance. Now, talking about locking up tokens. So here's one thing. I think saying, in fact, I'm going to pull up. Oh, this is the thing for locking up. This is locking up. Let's pull up this one that. What is it? DApp. Hold on, I got a link for it here. This DApp radar. You know, people looking at number of transactions per, you know, decentralized app. How many transactions they have. I think we're going to look back at measuring number of transactions the way we look at on the web. Back when the web started, people would look at number of hits, and pretty quickly you started to see, well, when you pull up a page, if it has 3 pictures, those are 3 hits. You know, so a page with more pictures is more valuable than one that's not. And what if the hits are junk traffic? And people, you know, the metric of hits eventually became conversions and other metrics that were more valuable. Transactions is one of these. Transaction can make a lot of sense for some businesses, but you know, what's more valuable? 1,000 transactions on, you know, PRA Candy Box, whatever the hell that is, or 1 transaction on MakerDAO. Let's pull up this one. 1 transaction on MakerDAO creates a $2 million CDP, right? Let's look at these. CDPs, collateral. Okay, here is debt. I mean, $12 million, $12 million in debt on this 1 CDP. Making or closing that is 1 transaction that is worth $12 million. That's more than, you know, whatever the frig is going to happen all day long on PRA Candy Box, whatever these stupid things are. So, you know, and if you think about it, so, I mean, the other point with token lockup being a big deal, and by the way, so here's one thing. This tracks. I've shown this several times before. This is a lot of the big token lockup programs, but then you add in Maker. Look at Maker, the size of it. In fact, there's a new website here lays this out better. DeFi Pulse. How much is locked up? 361 million on Maker. Goes like this. And they include Lightning Network, 5.4 million. You can see, you know, Bitcoin, are they the leader when it comes to locking up tokens? I don't think so. And I think that's a big business. This is one reason I think Bitcoin is not really the leader here. And watch this one. This is BTC wrapped onto Ethereum. Someday this, who knows, that might even be bigger than Bitcoin itself on Lightning Network. We'll see. But anyways, now these are just use cases for trading. It doesn't say, what else is coming is staking, proof of stake. Now, the reason I think proof of stake, this is a different thing. The reason I don't know what picture to show when I'm talking on this, but so the thing is, Bitcoin invented this whole thing, and they did it with proof of work. When Satoshi Nakamoto started, he created a way for people to have a stake in the system. By doing work, you prove you have a stake in the system, and then if you do enough work, and you were able to amass enough computers to have 50%, you would have such a stake in that system that you then wouldn't even want to steal from it because you've done so much work. So what people have figured out is, well, now that we have these tokens, you don't have to stake work. You can stake the tokens themselves, and this is a lot less expensive and difficult than doing the mining processing of solving puzzles with a lot of computer energy is not necessary because we now can just stake tokens. This is new, and there's people out there who think it's not going to work. It looks to me like it's going to work one way or the other. Whether it takes longer to get going or there's problems, we'll see. But I think it's coming. And so staking is going to take up another big chunk of tokens that are out there. This is what I think drives the next bull. This, I think, is huge. This is Ethereum's game. Ethereum, as we're all, look at all the lockup. And where are you going to lock anything up? People trust Bitcoin, but there's nothing to lock up in Bitcoin unless you do it on Lightning Network, which is got its issues. We'll talk about that in a little. The only game in town is Ethereum, and the thing about, Tron and EOS, and they got these transactions, and people are gambling, that's all fun and good, but you're not going to lock up millions of dollars on EOS or Tron. Just not going to happen. So this game, which I think the locking up of tokens of value in order to establish trust to do things, whether it's running the network itself or simply creating these financial products, Maker creates a stable coin, Compound is lending, Uniswap is trading, Dharma is another lending. All of these things require locking up tokens. That's a big game. And then there's another couple competitors, Polkadot and Cosmos. I don't think they're in this game. They're behind. They're just launching now. It doesn't look like a no-brainer that they're even competitive with Ethereum. Still, I don't know. You got to give them a few years. They're far behind. I don't believe that a leader like Ethereum gets replaced as long as they're growing as fast as they are and scaling and everything's happening. I don't see anybody catching them. I ain't worried about Polkadot or Cosmos. I'm not even investing in those. I will wait and see though, but I don't know. I'm not worried about them at this point. So that's what I want to talk about with the tokens. I'll try to put all these links in the description below. So next, let's talk about XRP, Stellar, JP Morgan coin, blah blah blah. So first of all, Stellar. Oops, wrong link. Stellar. The thing to watch with Stellar, now they had this announcement with IBM that, they're continuing with this WorldWire, which is an international trade payments platform. This is big business. I think they want the little guy, but from most of what I'm seeing is they're talking about major, international trades, millions of dollars settlements. Why is this not loading? And maybe I'll try a different link. Okay. Let's try this. Maybe because I let it sit there for too long, it lost itself. Let's try this one. Okay. So when IBM was announced, IBM started WorldWire. So when was this here? This is November. Right. So they announced in October a year ago. And then look at what happened in transactions really starting. I mean, I don't know what. So this was January. Anyways, transactions really jumped. So now they made another announcement that they're growing the program. So this is what we got to watch. Within a couple months, I'm hoping that, another order of magnitude. Look at what they did, what they went from here. Number of payments, 50,000 to, let's just say here, 500,000. So it had a 10x in transactions after an IBM sort of said, okay, we're going to make it bigger. So now, if we're at 500,000, now it should go up to 5 million. Or watch this. If this is going up and the price of XLM hasn't moved yet, you might want to get more, right? But this is the thing to watch. The risk for Stellar is that, IBM, they're in every bank, but sometimes they're slow as molasses. It might not work. Maybe they don't adopt. Maybe something else works better. So we'll see. JP Morgan coin, I feel, is sort of trying to do a similar thing. I just don't believe that JP Morgan coin, do I have a link for this? What is this? No, we're going to talk about games. That this JP Morgan coin, the old established who used to be the leader usually are not the ones that disrupt the new industry. So I would be very surprised if JP Morgan does anything but sort of do some cost improvements on their existing thing. They think they're cool in their little bubble, and eventually they realize they need something else. That's what I would bet. But who knows? They could be innovative, and they got someone brilliant there, and JP Morgan coin does all right, but it's very early and nobody really knows what the hell they're doing exactly. What else do we have here? So, and Facebook, I mean, Facebook is huge. And with payments, this Instagram commerce seems to be going well. I mean, Facebook with some sort of a token, but we don't know, again, what it is, how that's going to play out. And actually, now that I think about it, I mean, that sort of could be used for payments, but that's not going to be international trade, right? That would be more individuals using it as money, which, now that I think about it, I mean, JP Morgan, Stellar, and XRP, I think are all directly competing. Facebook is more of the individual payments. Unless IBM starts targeting that as well, I don't know. So, yeah, and then XRP, I mean, I just don't, I'm not a believer. I think, you know, we've talked, I got 1 million videos about it. I don't think they're going to win in a startup, and I think I would prefer Jed and Stellar's is much more, I think is more decentralized. And I just like Stellar's plan better than Ripple. And then they got IBM to do the sales rather than their own sales force. So I ain't buying that. Another thing, though, is the DAI stablecoin being used for payments. Whether that gets used for individuals or big international trade, the thing that's good about DAI is it really is decentralized, right? I mean, Stellar's pretty decentralized, I think. And IBM sort of is all about now the open source, and they want it to be central. They're not trying to own the network. So I think there's trust. People trust IBM, and it's pretty decentralized. But when it comes to DAI, I mean, that's really decentralized, right? On top of Ethereum, from all these CDPs. So it's trusted that it's decentralized, that no one person could screw with it, but it's not trusted in that this is going to last through all volatility. It lasted through the crash. Will it last through the bubble, through the boom? There's a lot of question marks on Maker. Looks good. I think it's important to hold a little bit because if this thing keeps going, it's growing like crazy. And then a lot of projects are adopting DAI as its stable coin because it's the most open, decentralized, free to use. Okay. So that's that. Now let's talk a little bit about gaming, sort of on a similar note. So there's this one game. Well, here's the thing. I mentioned, you know, so there's EOS and Tron have been making, I think they've been getting some business here. People setting up simple gaming, gambling things. Although I just heard that Japan wants to shut down the gambling that Tron is doing in Japan, and that's a big part of their business. I don't know, but even when it comes to gaming, so I invested a little bit in this Loom, which is sort of a it's basically, they call it EOS, like someone said, well, what do you think of EOS? And they said, it's a great second layer solution, right? But on EOS, there is no first layer to trust. So somebody built sort of an EOS copy, they call it, this Loom. Why don't I pull it up so you can see here? You know, let's see. This Loom is positioning itself as another, sort of like a Tron or an EOS, but it's on top of Ethereum, so you could trust it more. And I just I don't know. I really don't know enough. But if I were to make a guess without knowing, I wouldn't be surprised if the programming, the technology was a little better with this Loom than we see with these, with EOS or Tron. Time will tell. And even if Loom doesn't work, there will probably be other scaling game solutions on top of Ethereum. Also, Chris Dixon from A16Z, you know, Andreessen's fund, they, you know, they're heavily invested in crypto. Chris Dixon on a podcast, I think it was on Laura Shin's podcast, was mentioning, he said all the gamers are going to Ethereum. He said it reminds him of when the iPhone launched and all the gamers went running there. He said it's sort of a similar feel, and they're all running to Ethereum. So we'll see what happens. But so one of the games that hasn't even launched yet, Gods Unchained, so anyways, one of the trading cards, it hasn't even launched yet, and one of the cards already sold. I guess maybe they've released the cards. I don't know exactly how these games. One of the things with the games, just so you understand from my point of view as well, I'm not investing in any of this gaming stuff because I don't get it. I don't play games, and I don't gamble. Like, So and not because I think there's anything wrong with it. It's great. Maybe someday I will. When my kids are playing video games, I'll get into it. I don't know. But right now I don't. And so it's hard for me to analyze what's good and what's not because I don't know anything about trading card games. Like I couldn't even tell you what makes one good or bad. I have no idea. But I do see here that a card traded for 60,000 and the game hasn't even launched yet. So what did that say? Somewhere here. I don't know. It says how I don't know. Somewhere it said that, how it hadn't even launched yet. Anyways, but my point is if you don't have that super trust in EOS or Tron, you know, so there's all these games and you can go and roll the dice for a minute and win or lose and take your tokens out. But are you going to stake, you know, are you going to invest in tens of thousands of dollar digital assets and leave them on a system like Tron or EOS? You know, maybe you will. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, and maybe they'll become more trusted. But at this point, I would think even the biggest games would be on Ethereum because of this trust issue. Again, we'll see how it plays out. And I did, so I said I'm not betting on the gaming stuff, but like I said, I bought a tiny bit of Loom, and then it's easy to stake it. Loom network staking. Yeah, it was pretty easy. I just bought some and locked it up a teeny bit, and it's just like I want to have a little piece in the gaming gambling bubble that's coming. And so this is my little piece. And I think Binance also is a little piece of that. So when gaming starts FOMOing, I have something and I'm not going to FOMO and then be really stupid. So hopefully I won't get more involved in this. Another gaming one to look out for is WAX. What does it stand for? I think it's wax.io. Let's see. Worldwide Asset Exchange. The CEO of this, I actually talked to. Smart guy. He's with, what's his name? From EOS investor. Brock Pierce. So, you know, is that good or bad? I don't know. Depends on your point of view. But, and I've heard them talk. Like, I feel like the WAX digital, this Worldwide Asset Exchange will have value and do a lot of business. I think the token probably does well. Also, in a bubble, the next bull run FOMO show, anything that's half real is going to go up a lot at some point, right? So, you know, this I'm sure would be part of that party. But, you know, I get a little worried with some of these, like, well, maybe it is valuable if you own the equity, but they don't really take care of the token, and I didn't love it. So I'm not investing in it, but if you know, if you're into gaming and this sort of stuff and you get involved and you go on all of these, you play games on Tron, you play games on EOS. If I was younger and wanted to really get in this business, I would play games on Tron, EOS, Loom, but not just play like, oh, this is fun. Like, which are the best? Which platform is the best? See what's coming, and if you understand which games are cool in the future, which platform is going to have the best games, you know, this could be an area to explore. But like I said, not really for me. Okay, so now let's talk about Bitcoin. Where, you know, one of the things I'm going to talk about in my dream portfolio conversation is, you know, I last year in January, the previous 2018 January, when we started going down, I was saying, you know, listen, you should start getting small, getting out of some of these smaller coins and getting more in Bitcoin. And, you know, I can't remember, you know, I'm always changing my portfolio. I think the max was get 60% into Bitcoin. And, you know, that was a good move, more and more Bitcoin. And the downfall, Bitcoin fell one of the least. Binance did better than Bitcoin, but other than that, I don't know of any. So that was the move. Well, now I want to be dollar cost averaging out of Bitcoin. I'm not dumping all my Bitcoin, but it's like to go from 60% to 40% over a few months, every few weeks, selling a little Bitcoin for a little Ethereum, for a little Binance. That's my approach. Now, There's a few reasons for this. One thing that just bothers me, one of the things I look at in a community or a system, and we used to not have these decentralized systems. So if I looked at where I'm going to invest in with stocks, I'd love to know who's the leader, who's the person in charge. Do I trust them, and are they a super genius winner? Right? Steve Jobs, whether he made a movie, a music player, or pizza. I'm sure it was the greatest. If Steve Jobs made pizza, it would probably taste like ice cream. Whatever he did was great. Elon Musk, too. This guy's a winner. I love investing with people like that. Warren Buffett, for 40 years, has been successful. So what's the odds he's going to keep being successful? So I look for big leaders. In the crypto world, I love Vitalik Buterin, CZ of Binance, Jed McCaleb at Stellar. These are people I just think these people look like winners to me. They're gonna make shit work. But on Bitcoin, who's our leader? I mean, really, it's a bit of a shit show. There's some great talk about economics and what hard money is and how the economy works, and I think Bitcoin's added a lot to economics. But as far as the technology, I'm just not. So Bitcoin's scaling solution. Now I understand the value of it's the safest coin. And in the downturn, we all ran to Bitcoin. And in the next bubble bust, a lot is going to run back to Bitcoin again. And they want to be digital gold. And that's what gold does, right? In the fiat world, when the markets are all crashing, people run to gold traditionally. And I think Bitcoin holds a similar role. But look at gold in the fiat world. It's a small part of the economy. It's not that exciting either. So if you just want to be digital gold, to me, that's a little boring. But anyways, and then when it comes to scaling, it's Lightning Network. Okay, so this is a decent growth chart here since October. I mean, what was this? In November, it was under 1 million. And now it's 5 million in April. So what's that? October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 7 months, up 500%, locked up on Lightning Network. Good growth rate. If that continues, that's pretty good. And the technology, it's coming along, but it's very hard to understand. And a lot of the stuff with these channels and opening channels and getting your money stuck and how to get it's super not user-friendly yet. I don't know if you've seen this XDAI wallet that is made. It's a derivative off of Ethereum. There's this one video here's one here. Just you can see how
you have to have a ton of devices. The minimum viable.
So you scan a QR code.
Device is basically accept just paper wallet. I scan.
Anyways, this is a 1.5 minute video. Even if you don't have the app or anything on your computer, I don't know why I can't hear the sound here. If you don't even have it on your wallet, you just go, you scan a code, it goes and it sends, like you get set up in a second. So easy. This being built on Ethereum. With Lightning, we're nowhere near it being super easy. Maybe it gets there in time. Again, 40% of the portfolio of Bitcoin, I'm not abandoning it. But I am concerned. There's no leadership. This Lightning Network, their only game in town, right? Look at on Ethereum, all the games. Now, these aren't all for payments, per se. So, in fact, here's the XDAI. This is the only one for... Oh, no. Okay, so Lightning Network, an XDAI is tiny. So, maybe Bitcoin wins with payments, but I don't know. But the point is, I'm saying, also in a bull run, and I've had a lot of smart trader types tell me, in the bull run, if you get a small one that's good, you're going to make more than you're going to make in Bitcoin, right? It's just as the opposite on the way down. The small ones are going to fall more. So that's sort of where I'm heading there with Bitcoin. The other thing is the Bitcoin maximalists. I mean, come on. Can we just fucking seriously? Bitcoin maximalists believe that Bitcoin is just like the only game in town. If you can't say that Bitcoin, you can't be a Bitcoin maximalist and say that you're digital gold, because digital gold is gold, being the most secure hard money, is one small part of the economy. Unless you think if you have some money that's so hard It's going to eliminate all lending and derivatives and staking and lending and borrowing. And I'm sorry, but fractional banking's not going away. I think everything we can build in crypto will be better than what we have now. But we're going to rebuild most of the same stuff and have a lot of the same problems, but a lot better, a lot easier to, you know, monitor, to know what you get. There's a lot of improvements, but at the same time, this idea that Bitcoin is going to be everything, all of these, and they're not going to disappear. You know, it's just not happening. So, and just looking at all of these coins, and a lot of these coins, yeah, they're going to, like, they're shit. This Bitcoin Cash going up a lot. It's a shit coin. It ain't worth shit, but it ain't going away right now. Litecoin, we're going to talk about, we're gonna get to why coins like Litecoin are going up. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But anyways, the Bitcoin maximalists, as Richard Hart says, I love his quote. You know, Bitcoin maximalists have to explain why there are 9 other tokens in the top 10. And I don't think the top 10 is ever gonna be Bitcoin, 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 right? These other things have value, and Ethereum has value, has things going on. It ain't going away. Maybe XRP fails. Great. But there'll be something else in number 2 if it's not Ethereum. You know, EOS, maybe it fails, but then maybe Loom is right here, right? I mean, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, yeah, I don't know that anything can replace them because they're so stupid. Binance coin, right? Binance ain't going away, and their token ain't going away. These things are here to stay, and they're gaining. Bitcoin dominance is in decline. And I think it continues, at least in the nearest term that I can see. So now let's talk about my portfolio, my dream portfolio, as I call it. Let's pull over my sheet here. Oops. Now let's do it like this so we can see it better. Okay, so here's the thing, like, you know, when you've got big numbers here, like the Bitcoin and Ethereum being 40%, you know, I was at 60% and we're going to 40, or Ethereum, I think I was at 15% at one point, and now, you know, we're heading up to 35. I know, and then it depends how big your portfolio is. Your whole portfolio is $300, then just fucking make a change, right? I mean, whatever. But if it's a decent size, you do it over time, because things change, it could be wrong, and these can be big numbers. So I'm trending down in the Bitcoin, and mostly to get more Ethereum. And I was getting Maker and BNB. I sort of got there with my 5%. My others, I'll talk about for a minute here. I have OMG still from way back. Could have made a video when I said, oh, maybe I'm going to sell it at 19, and all you fucking people told me don't sell it, and I listened to you. Usually the channel helps me. In this case, I literally was going to sell OMG at 19, and I didn't because I liked some of the arguments. And hey, maybe someday in the future, that'll be the right move, because OMG goes up so much, and I wouldn't have bought it back that, you know, it going... I mean, I'm in OMG at like $7, went to 19, to 1, now it's back to $2. The little bit I have, I'm holding and really not enjoying the ride. Storage I hold. That's been going up nice, you know, but, I mean, everything's been going up, whatever. Again, things I buy, I don't love it. I don't know that I would buy it now. So these ones, I wouldn't buy now, but I'm also not selling them. It's sort of I got in. I did research. I don't think they're bad. It might work out, so I'm holding. I told you I got the Loom. What else do I have? I think that's it. So the other ones that I've mentioned, if I understood them, if I understood NMR, if I understood livepeer, you know, those could be possibilities. They look real to me. Oh, Kyber. Someone asked about. You know, Kyber is an interesting. What happened to my? Oh, I didn't want this one. I want. No, where is that? Kyber. I don't know. It's interesting, but then I look at this chart and I'm bored, right? I mean, here's the network volume. Well, so here, you know, but it jumped, but now it's flat. It's sort of back to where it was here. I want to see this. I want to see another jump. You know what I mean? If I see it jumping and the price isn't jumping, then I would say, okay, maybe that's interesting. But so far, it's just sort of plodding along, according to this graph. Let's see, where'd my little sheet go? So yeah, and XLM, you know, people are like, oh, you don't like XLM anymore, it's only 10%. Well, first of all, I did say for a long time, I lowered the portfolio, and I was saying, you know, get your when I was saying Bitcoin should be more than XLM, that was a time to trade some of the XLM for Bitcoin to right your portfolio. And if you didn't do that, the price of XLM fell so much that it probably became 10% anyways, right? Or close to that. So bottom line is, my XLM story is still the same as it always was. It's just now it's sort of value. When I first talked about it way back before the IBM deal, XLM was not in the top. Actually, it had its moments here and there, but it was mostly a much smaller token. I remember it was only 500 million value, and it was under 500 million value, and they had a deal with IBM. So that to me, it was undervalued. Now it's, I don't know, you know, undervalued, overvalued, the exact value, but like I said, I want to see. I think at this value, until we see another one of these order of magnitude increase in transactions per day, payments per day, then I'm not dying for it to go up more. So I'm just holding that 10%. Okay, let's get back to, that is not, where are we here? This is it. Okay, yeah, so that's that. Now, next topic here is the bottom in. Well, you know, I've talked about before, I like this guy, Travis Kling, K-L-I-N-G. And, you know, we were, you know, it was bouncing off 6,000, bouncing off 6,000. I was hopeful it was the bottom. Some other people were. And then I heard this Travis Kling. It's like, he goes, in my whole history, I'm trading. And, you know, this guy knows trading and trading commodities and this sort of thing. He's like, if the 6,000 is a bottom, then I have to rewrite everything I know about bottoms and what they look like. And I said, uh-oh, that didn't sound good. And 2 weeks later, that bottom fell out and it plummeted. And now, I mean, he was on TV recently. First, then it was sort of like, well, maybe the bottom's in. And then recently he's like, it looks like the bottom's in at this point. Unless there's some major international liquidity, you know, the Federal Reserve decided to hike interest rates by a lot, surprising everyone. Unless there's some crazy event where the bottom is in. He's called it. And my one thing, and I'm not a big trader, but I did some research, and the thing I noticed is the bottom is in when it jumps like 100% and sort of comes down a little, but then holds. The ultimate low is usually punctuated with like this 100% rise. And we saw that in Ethereum. We saw that in all the small coins. And we've just been waiting for Bitcoin to confirm. Now, Bitcoin jumping to 5,000, that might be enough to confirm because we're 3,200 to 5,000. That's almost 80% jump. But still, if we can get to 6, it's looking, you know, soon. Anyways, the Bitcoin, I think all the small coins. Oh, so the other thing Travis Kling told me. Do I have any pages to show for this? No. That manipulators see flows going into Bitcoin. Money is building into Bitcoin. It takes a lot of money to move it. So they see the money moving in, so they know it's going to go up eventually. So that's a good time to get into these shit coins that they can manipulate. Litecoin seems to be the favorite. People are able to manipulate it and push it up. It is a dead project, Litecoin. There aren't developers on it. They're not doing anything. It has no point. But it exists, and it has, you know, and it's people can't steal from you on it. I don't think you can do a 50% attack against it, as far as I know. So anyways, the manipulators get in, and they pump this thing. And they pump all these other little ones. And then, because they know, and then once Bitcoin moves enough to confirm that those are sort of in line, then so they pump the small coins, then Bitcoin runs, and then pump the small coins again, and Bitcoin runs, and this goes on, and just, you know, whatever. The FOMO bubble show launches. And it looks like it's happening. So we'll see. The timing of it all, and how long it all takes to rev up and get all of Wall Street FOMOing, I don't know. But it looks like the bottom's in. at Bitcoin 3,200, Ethereum 82. We will see. Okay. Nano, someone asked about, and just Nano, I think what I said last year was, this is a new technology. It's not like it's just a whole new way of doing things. People say, oh, it's better than whatever. Great. So my point, what I said last year was, wait 5 years. If it's still growing, people still like it, and it still looks safe, then I would invest in it. So now what I say is wait 4 years, because it's been a year. You know, I mean, it's still going. So good. 4 more years to go and see if you still like it. Another thing, and I gotta tell you the truth here. I might be losing my alpha in crypto, meaning that I know more than the other guy. The reason I say this, let me pull up this. Where was that? This is not it. Let me. Shoot. Where would this be? There's this research group, Delphi. Here's one of their reports. So, you know, when I say, so the thing is, when I was in this a year and a half ago, I just felt like, boy, I know more than everyone. I'm doing more research than everyone. Like, few people were looking at it. People weren't digging that deep. I felt like I knew more than everybody. And maybe I did. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. I think there's a lot of deep research going on. This Delphi Digital, I think it's only $25 a month, or it was 30, or it's not too much for real research here. And this is just one of them. I mean, look at this work that they do to know what's going on. And people are digging in. The reality is, and I don't want to do this all day, 24/7, and compete with teams of researchers and tech, you know, and traders and all this stuff. You know, so my advantage used to be is I could tell which ones are fake and which ones are real. Most people couldn't even do that, right? Or I actually discounted that if it hasn't launched yet, I thought that makes something less valuable than things that had launched yet. Like, nobody was doing that. You know, I was very innovative. And it was easy. And that's only like a year ago. Now, forget it. People are knowing what's going on. There's all these research reports. Listen, I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the room. I don't think I should be picking individual. I mean, I'm still like, I feel good about my portfolio, but I'm starting to see, I think in the next bull run, I'm going to probably try to diversify some of my portfolio to people who are real researchers. Maybe it's a hedge fund. Maybe it's there'll be some index fund. Maybe it's, I don't know what, but I feel like I should get somebody else to start running at least part of my portfolio. Maybe I'll just hodl my, you know, Ethereum. But these other things, betting on things like Loom and whatever the hell, even Stellar, it's going to get to a point where if you want to beat the market, you're going to have to really be, you know, I think it's going to get very difficult to do. So I want to invest with someone who actually can beat the market and puts in that sort of work. So this is just one research report. I mean, really? So my alpha, and that's one of my things I wanted to be aware, because I was early on the web. In 95, 96, I knew everything. And then I thought that would continue, and I was a bit arrogant and not accepting that other people, like I got passed by teams of researchers, and then I wasn't as smart, and I missed some things because I was too busy thinking I know everything. I ain't doing that this time. You know what I'm saying? So, what's this? This is the same one. Okay. Let's see if I think there was one last item on my list. Not this. Let's see. Oh, Kyber, we talked. Okay, that's it. So let me know your thoughts, feedback, comments, and I will see you on a future video. Good luck. Oh. Did you leave? I hope not. I didn't put this on my agenda, but I should have mentioned. No, I'm doing something with Ty Lopez. I'll save that for another video, and for an update on what's going on with me bringing financial literacy to kids' education. Just, you know what? If you follow my stories, I try to put some stuff in. I haven't been doing that much stories about what's going on, but I'll keep you posted through my stories on YouTube and Instagram as things happen. And yeah, okay, that's all. If it's not on the agenda, I'm not talking about it. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.